Welcome to today's lesson on subtracting integers. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about integer chips and then we're going to go into some actual rules. So let's see if the integer chips helps you out here. If you recall that a negative and a positive creates 0. So we're going to be using that concept in there and we're going to be adding 0 occasionally. So it might be a little bit different. So first one, let's start off with the basic here. Let's say 5 minus 3. Okay, when you're a little kid, you learn this. You take 5 of them and you take away 3. Your answer is 2. That's pretty easy. Now, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to think of it as another way also. If I can do this, how can I get an answer of 2 with the integer chips? Well, how about I add a negative 3? Because what you're going to find out is if you're subtracting a number, it's the same thing as adding a negative. So what's this going to look like? Well, if I had 5 integer chips and I put 3 of them in there, what you're going to find out is with these right here, and sorry, they're not perfect, but they're going to cancel out. And your answer again is 2. So it's going to take a little bit to use to, but when we're subtracting a positive, it's the same thing as adding a negative. We showed that with the integer chips. Now, what I want you to do, if you happen to have them, is try to think of the answer to this one of negative 5 minus 2. Possibly some of you got an answer of either negative 3 or negative 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do slightly different is I got to take away 2. Let me think. I do not have 2, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add 2. Wait a second. I just get in just a random 2. So I have to do what's called a 0 pair. So what the 0 pair is I'm adding this right here. This is 0, and this is also 0. But watch what happens when I go to solve it. If I take away 2. What am I left with? Negative 7. Okay? So another way that we can also think of this one is how am I going to get an answer of a negative 7 on this one also? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another 2. So negative 5 plus a negative 2 is equal to a negative 7. If you happen to need practice with integer chips, you think that that's helpful, you could try some of these, like a negative 6 minus a negative 2. Okay, I don't think I need any 0 pairs because I'm taking away 2 negatives. So if I take away 2 negatives, I get a negative 4. So this right here is my answer. A lot of times students will give an answer of a negative 8 on this one. Exact same thing written as an addition problem is negative 6 plus, what is it going to be? Well, the opposite of this would be 2. So what I'm going to do is plus 2. Because as you're going to find out in a moment, this is the same thing as adding a positive 2. Okay? If you needed time, you could try some of these like 4 minus 7, negative 3 minus 5, negative 2 minus negative 7. Those are all good little practice right there. Maybe help you with integer chips. Some of you, on the other hand, want to move right into the rules. And when I'm going to be talking about a minus sign, a lot of times students will ask me, is that a subtraction or a negative? And I will say, yes, it's both. So 10 minus 3, we all know is 7. 10 plus a negative 3 is also 7. Negative 5 minus 7 is a negative 12. But if you also say negative 5 plus a negative 7, you'll still get a negative 12. So we got to kind of think of this as the opposite. So when I think of a minus 6, I'm going to think as plus a negative 6. What do you think for a negative 18? That's like the same thing as adding a negative 18. When I say minus a negative 22, I should think of it as plus 22 because you're taking away some negatives. I guess you could kind of think of it as just taking away something you just purchased at the store when they're giving you store credit. So you're going to add $48. Okay, so first rule is anytime I have subtracting a positive number, I'm just going to rewrite it as adding a negative. So 5 minus 8 is negative 3. But 5 plus negative 8 is also negative 3. Negative 10 minus 19, I believe that's negative 29, and I will get the same answer for the addition problem. So, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. When you see these questions, 5 minus 13. We should put down a plus sign right away. The first number never changes. It's always going to be the second number. I'm going to take the opposite of 13, which is a negative 13. And you're going to get an answer of a negative 8. If you don't believe me, take a calculator and go 5 minus 13. You're going to get negative 8. 5 plus a negative 13 is a negative 8. If you're doing the mental math on some of the examples, it's probably a little helpful to rewrite it as an addition problem. So, take a moment, look at this question right here, and see what you think you're going to get. While you're getting your thought process going, put that there first. Okay, so I'm going to add these together, as they're both negative, and I'm going to get negative 44. Okay. You can do this one real quick. Now, sometimes there are some students that don't even need it, and they get the answer of negative 22 right away. That's understandable, but it doesn't hurt to put that plus sign in there occasionally. So we've done minus a positive number. A lot of times students are successful in that one. This one right here is sometimes a little bit confusing for some students, is subtracting a negative. So you're going to think of this as an opposite. So opposite of negative 5 is 5. The opposite of negative 12 is 12. So I'm going to rewrite this as adding a positive. So first thing I got to put down my plus sign. The first number doesn't change. So I'm going to keep that as 17. Opposite of negative 9 is positive 9. And I get an answer of 26. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking away 9 negatives. Well, there's no negatives in this one, so I'm going to be making them positive. Okay? If you want to, you can hit pause and see if you get the answer for this one. Hopefully you got the correct answer. The first number does not change. Minus a negative, so that would be a positive 29. All right, that's the key step right there. Once you get to this point, then you should be okay. And I believe since they're opposite, I've got to subtract them. I believe I get an answer of 11. Then I got to think, is it positive or negative? Well, it's positive, because 29 is larger than the absolute value of negative 18. Okay, try this one. Hit pause, please, real quick, and see if you can get the correct answer. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this as plus 18, and I get an answer of 6. Okay, I'm hoping that this was helpful for you today. The easier ones are when you're subtracting a positive. Basically, you're just adding the opposite, and then you go from there with your addition rules. And then when you're subtracting a negative, you've got to add the opposite again. So they're going to basically cancel out. Some people will call it slash and dash. You might see some teachers doing this. Let me find an open spot for us. If I had 12 minus 18, all right, I apologize, minus a negative 18, what they might possibly do is you might see them go like this. I personally like to rewrite the problem so I can actually see what was going on. I will do this. I will go 12 plus 18. Why? Because over the years I've seen so many students make some simple mistakes, and they do a slash and dash on subtracting a positive number. So for me, yeah, you can do that, but a nice way to line it up right here, and then you can see the steps right there. Hopefully this was helpful, and good luck with it.